Welcome back. Gayle Trotter is a conservative columnist and writes on liberty topics, including the Affordable Care Act, tax and energy policy, and national security. Her testimony on constitutional rights before the Senate Judiciary Committee in January 2012 gained international coverage. Gayle is a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum. She's a regular panelist on NPR, a frequent guest on national radio and television shows. She's a co-founder of Schaefer & Trotter, PLC, a law firm in metropolitan Washington, D.C. that advises entrepreneurs and small businesses. She received her undergraduate degree in government from the University of Virginia, where she also obtained a law degree and served on the editorial board of the Virginia Journal of International Law. Welcome, Gayle.
Great to be with you.
Very nice to have you. So we've got the campaign issue for 2015, and you are the expert. So welcome. I'm waiting to hear your opinions. We've got a situation with Hillary Clinton, right?
Yes.
Her campaign is being dogged constantly by the new FBI probe. Is this one finally going to attach?
It's really fascinating that you asked that, because this FBI probe is much broader than what has gone on before. They're looking at the conduct to see if it is in coordination with a broader statute that talks about whether Hillary Clinton or any of her advisors or people on her team gave materially false statements to the FBI. They're very famous people who have been caught up in this, like Martha Stewart, Denny Hastert, and others, very high-profile people that the FBI went after for other conduct. They weren't able to get them for that conduct, but they used this material false statement statute to end up getting a conviction and, in several circumstances, getting jail time. So this is serious business. The Hillary Clinton campaign has to take this very seriously, but Hillary Clinton also has to take it very seriously, considering that she could be in grave legal jeopardy if the FBI probe shows that she violated the statute.
All right, let's say, just for argument's sake, that that's exactly what happens. So who technically takes the first step where it goes beyond FBI probe to something that sounds and is really bad legally for her?
Right. The FBI investigators work independently. They would investigate the sources, they would follow up on documentation, they would do their job according to the professional standards that they observe. Then they would take it to their supervisor, and if there was something that called for a further investigation, they would do that. And then at some point, if there was enough evidence and they thought that it should be referred to the Justice Department, the evidence and the call for a prosecution would be given to the Justice Department, which of course is headed by Attorney General Loretta Lynch, who was appointed by President Obama and confirmed by the Senate. And at that point, the Justice Department would have to decide whether to proceed with the prosecution of Hillary Clinton based on the evidence gathered by the investigators at the FBI.
Well, here's where we get political and not legal. You have a director of the agency that's going to make that yes, we're going ahead or no, we're not decision, who is a political appointee, who's very close friends with a very partisan president, who very much wants Hillary instead of anybody on the other side of the aisle. What happens if the president just says to the Justice Department, stretch this out, let it go on longer, slow things down? What then?
Well, we've certainly seen that's the case with other high-profile investigations, like of the IRS and the targeting of conservatives during the 2012 re-election campaign of President Obama. So certainly there is precedent for that happening in the past. It certainly would not surprise anyone who observes these things in Washington, D.C. to think that that might possibly happen. But there's another scenario that's even more interesting. I think Loretta Lynch could allow the prosecution of Hillary Clinton, but President Obama could issue her a full pardon for any conduct or activity while she was Secretary of State.
And we talked about that this afternoon when you and I chatted. From a political point of view, does that become a stigma for candidate Clinton if she's running on a campaign that has attached to it an executive pardon from the President of the United States for a multitude of felonious behaviors in regards to behavior while Secretary of State?
That's certainly not going to help her with independent voters that she would need in order to be elected as the next president of the United States. When you compare the situation to the last time an executive was given a pardon by a sitting president, Gerald Ford gave Richard Nixon a pardon. When you think about that situation, Richard Nixon was not trying to go back into the Oval Office. He had already resigned, and he was going to ride off into the sunset. In this case, if President Obama gave Hillary Clinton a pardon, it would be to advance a third term of President Obama's presidency, essentially, because although there's not a lot of love lost between President Obama and Hillary Clinton, they certainly share the same ideology and the same goals for a fundamental transformation of America.
Exactly. So here's the political question of the night, right? So we've got dozens and dozens and dozens of potential felonious violations of federal law. Given the fact that there's investigation after investigation, and this one looks like it's going to stick, is she still qualified to be President of the United States, or should this be something that the American electorate just says, enough's enough, there's too many questions that we don't have answers to, we've got to go with somebody else?
It certainly should be a complete disqualification to be the commander-in-chief. When you think about how long Hillary Clinton has been close to government service, starting as the governor's wife in Arkansas, becoming First Lady, then being a U.S. Senator, then being the Secretary of State, she could not possibly maintain that she did not know how vitally important it is to secure government records, not only classified information or top secret information, but even just all government records. And when she served as Secretary of State, we had our ambassador, who was the first U.S. ambassador killed since 1970.
Okay, quick question, Gayle, before we go. Does this stick? Does this bring her down, or does she get over this hump?
I think it will bring her down, to her great chagrin.
Wow. Well, Gayle, thanks so much. I love having the political insight and the legal insight. Really, really helpful. We really appreciate you being with us today. I'll tell you, I'm waiting to see if your prediction comes true. Thanks so much.